Porsche's GT department cars have come to dominate the track day scene, from the original 996 GT3 through to the latest monstrous 992 GT3 RS, and of course not forgetting those GT4s as well. But what does it take to prepare and run such a machine? Well, welcome to the official YouTube channel of Porsche Club of Great Britain, where today I've come to see RPM Technik, recognised specialists in the maintenance and modifying of GT cars, to find out more. I'm here with Ollie Preston, RPM Technik's founder and technical director. So where do we start, Ollie?
Well, the first thing we'll do is do a plug-in to get a VAL, which is a vehicle analysis log. This is hooked up to the Porsche factory so they can see what we're doing. Interestingly, there is a separate track day maintenance schedule, which you can see here.
Oh, yeah.
So you put the chassis number in for the car. So for racetrack use here, engine oil every 3,000 miles, oil and filter every 6,000 miles. It's pretty standard, really.
Yeah.
But then what gets a bit more interesting is as you scroll further down, you can see that moving and installing wheel with central bolt, replacing central wheel lock nut bolts, replacing wheel hubs and wheel bearings on the rear axle, which is every 6, installing drive shaft for 12,000 track miles, and removing and installing front wheel bearing housing as well. So, you know, there is more maintenance than people think.
Yeah, that would be classified as just track day miles. Would that be seen as separate to the overall mileage of the car?
Yeah, so that's why it's important you keep a log of how many miles you do on track.
Right.
Because, you know, some people do 250 miles, 300 miles on a track day, but it's going to take a while to add up to this. So the numbers sound not that much, but when you think about the punishment you put in the car through. So, I mean, the basic stuff you do, you check bearings, any suspension components for play, and you go around the car, you look for any debris that may be in any of the vents, you know, because the airflow, you don't want to restrict that. Particularly these later cars, they're so susceptible with the aero. Obviously you've got the active aero on the back. So starting at the front, we'll check the splitter, make sure it's all secure, there's nothing hanging off because of obviously the front downforce. Yep. Tyre wear is important. Yep. You want to be looking for that tyre wear, make sure it's a nice even on the tyre, because if you're scrubbing tyres out, you know the geometry's out, that's the first sign.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Looking at brake pads, because they're so big, quite a lot of people looking at the top with a pad here, and they'll go, oh yeah, there's loads left on that. But in reality at the bottom, because you're pressing so hard on the brake on track days, you tend to wear them like a wedge. So we recommend changing the pads at 50%. Right. A couple of reasons for that, obviously the wear I just explained, but as the brake pad wears down, the heat transfer to the caliper becomes quicker, and then you cook the fluid a lot quicker. And obviously, the first half of the pad wears a lot slower than the second half, bizarrely. That's just the way they are. Then obviously we're checking all the plastics for any damage, particularly on these. There's a lot more plastic going on with airflow on these. Looking for any rubbing where the car may be you know, catching on arches, some of the trims under here. On the earlier cars, we used to remove the lower grills. And then just sort of general bit of good housekeeping, really. Cleaning all the rubber out. A happy track car is a clean, tidy track car. So moving towards the back, obviously wheels off here now so we can see a bit more. Again, you know, good check over all the components. You're checking for play first, but then you're looking for wear. Make sure shocks aren't leaking, brake lines are all good, everything's routed correctly. One thing, we don't see it so much on these, but the air intakes are here, and on the 991 RSs, we were quite often cleaning debris out the air boxes, and because the air filter maintenance, you'd have to take them off a lot more often than the standard maintenance and empty the gravel out, especially if they've had an off. Again, you know, once this is up in here, we can have a proper look underneath at the underbody aero, but it's just checking for all the fins on here. So now the wheels are off, Adam, I'll show you something really cool. This is the factory tool for checking the PCCBs. Now, if you have a look at the PCCBs, on the later ones, they've all got this, they've got 3 points. 1, 2, 3, and they've got 65, 48 on this one, for example. So 65 is the density of the disc new and 48 is its minimum. Okay, right. So this is the tool here. So you put it on this plate for calibration. So it needs to be 60.1 plus or minus 2. So that's within spec. And then you pop this on here, and you've got the red line which you line up through there. Yeah. So that's at 60.
not cheap, I imagine.
No,
At all.
no, it's not cheap. And the trouble is you can't really charge much to use it. But you need it to be able to check the disc properly, and then you can, because you can't measure them. I mean, the old way was you had to weigh them. There's plenty of life in that disc.
So if you have got carbon ceramics on your GT car, how long, and I know this is always going to be a difficult $1 million question, isn't it? But typically, with track day mileage, how long will they last?
Well, they do, to be honest, they've just got better and better over the years, so we're not really seeing problems with the late stuff, sort of 991.2 onwards. They've all been really good. Every now and again someone might pick up a stone in it, or that's more the problem we're seeing now, is they'll pick up a stone or it'll get chipped when people are carelessly taking the wheels off, and they'll drop it on the top of the disc.
Back in the day, it wasn't unheard of for people to take them off, was it? And put a standard iron setup on and keep them on the shelf for if you resold the car. Do people still do that, or is it more of an accepted thing now just to go with the carbon ceramics?
A bit of a mixed bag really. Some people just put some discs on and put these in a box to maintain them, and some people just go, I'm just going to go and see how they go. Because if you regularly keep an eye on them, it's not that they just suddenly fail overnight. You can see they're starting to wear, or there might be an issue, you think, and that sometimes that's the time when people will look for an alternative, so that they can put these in the box and maintain the value on the car, you know?
Yeah.
So the other thing, not seen it on 992s, but 991s, 997s with the centre locks, these are the sort of safety locking pin. So the socket has a nose cone on it which engages, so you can loosen this off. If these, and sometimes these can stick in, so which means your wheel can come loose, so that's really important. Every time you torque them up, you take the socket off and just make sure that's free and loose.
Well, that was a great overview on the car, Ollie. Shall we go into some more detail on the suspension and how you set that up now?
Yeah, sure. Well, Ricky's just setting up for the Manti equipment now, so if we pop back in a bit, we can see it on the machine and we can run you through it all.
Perfect.
Cool, thanks.
Hi Ricky.
Hi there.
How are you doing? So you're senior technician here, Ricky, and you specialise in these wonderful GT cars and also the on-event support at a track. I see you've got it hooked up with the geometry stuff, so can you talk me through what's going on here and why you're doing it?
Okay, yeah, no problem. I'll start off with bringing around to one of the wheel hubs. So what we have here is our laser is down at the front. We bring the laser completely out on the underbody, which then each platform has a pin which drops in, and it basically makes us put every plate so it's flat. So then the car is sitting completely square. We can then drop the alignment down with the laser, and then on this line here is a value point where I can get my ride heights. On each chassis is different. You can get your ride height point, but that's where I'm going to get my values from where the car is sitting on the ride height. This hub mount here is where we take a measurement for camber, and then we have here, which is a laser line going down to the rear, and that's for our toe in and out.
Right. Right.
Within this platform here, we have our corner weights. So when we make our adjustments on adding, reducing camber, in and out and toe, these values will change. So we need to bring them within their values as well. We're going to change the toe values. We're going to have to move the corner weights around because we've now got a driver's weight in the vehicle. So once we've set our toes, our cambers, we'll check our ride heights. Then we can go around to the corner weights, adjust each platform until we've got everything within our values. You want the tyre loaded and set at that point.
I imagine that applies to 991 GT3s, GT4s, going back to 997 GT3s.
Go to 996, 997s. So the chassis on them, Porsche have made them so they are very, very adjustable. Again, road, track, fast road if you want to call it. So there's a lot of adjustability on the chassis. And it's quite nice to see the generations as they're going up, because the characteristics are always kind of the same. Weight in the back of the engine, so the setups are very, very similar throughout the brands. The double wishbone on this car is different, so the front end does feel different. It's quite sharp. So the settings on this front end are different from the previous gen.
One thing I was thinking, Ricky, is with the double wishbone suspension on the 992, and not just the RS, obviously the standard GT3, do you find that customers are asking you for something different in their cars compared with, say, the 991 and the 997?
So the 991 compared to the 992, the double wishbone, we've had customers where they've said that it's quite tight on the front end, it's quite darty. That can be dialed off. When we're doing a lot of track work with cars, we tend to dial that feeling off, because at high speeds it does make the car want to move around a bit too much. So yeah, there is a complete different setup on the front end from the 991 to the 992. But it can be adjusted to make it feel better. It's never going to feel the same as a 991, but we can dial it off.
Yeah. Well, I hope you found our conversations today as informative and as interesting as I have. For me, the takeaway is that these are cars designed to be driven hard on a circuit, but maintenance is of vital importance, just like any machinery really. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you own a Porsche of any type, or you're even just an enthusiast of the marque, the Porsche Club of Great Britain offers so much. From social events, to drives out, to technical advice, all united by one thing: united by the drive. See you next time.